This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
Man, I can't believe the 2010s it's really over. It just seemed like yesterday when Bron made his decision to go to Miami and they were the biggest and baddest villain in the league. It seemed like yesterday when the Cavs and the Warriors were in the finals in 2016, but that was 4 years ago, pretty much. And now the 2020s are upon us. Like, I'm at a point where saying the 2010s still feels weird. Like, the 2010s? But not only is this era over, we are now officially in the 2020s. And that is upon us. But before we get excited about that, let's take some time to reflect on this amazing decade of NBA basketball. But before we do that, let's shout out the sponsors of this video in catbeast.com. Catbeast.com is a great website to make custom embroidered hats. Go ahead and check them out. Links will be in the description. Once again, shout out to catbeast.com for sponsoring this video. But without further ado, you already read the title of this video. We are going to run down the 10 seasons of this decade and rank them from worst to best. Number 10, the 2018 season. The 2018 season, in the grand scheme of things, was one of the most forgettable seasons of this decade. Now, of course, the NBA never fails to produce a great product, especially to me because I'm a super fan. Obviously, I'm gonna like anything they put out. We saw Harden and the Rockets dominate the West. We saw LeBron defy Father Time and carry the Cavs in the playoffs. It was still a good season, and I really want you guys to know that making this list was tough because even the worst was still an unforgettable season to me. But compared to the other seasons, it just seemed like one of the years where the Warriors did their business and no one could really do anything about it, except for, minor details here and there. Now, granted, the Rockets did take them to a thrilling 7 games, and that was really exciting, but again, just looking at the 10 seasons, personally, I would just put this at number 10. Number 9, the 2015 season. Coming in at 9, we have the 2015 season. To me, this is the season where the new generation and the new era of NBA basketball really started. We were moving away from the Spurs, the Heat, the Celtics era, with the big 3/4 Celtics and the Heatles and that era. To the new era dominated by the Warriors and the Cavs of the world. This was when Steph Curry became Steph Curry. This was when Harden became Harden. When we saw what Westbrook could really do by himself. This was when it started. Maybe if the MVP race was better, and if there were more Game 7s in the playoffs, and if the finals weren't so injury riddled, maybe it would have been higher on this list. But once again, all great seasons. I'm gonna have to put 2015 at number 9. Number 8, the 2014 season. Next up, we have the 2014 season. A season in which we saw KD put on one of the greatest and most memorable MVP seasons of this decade, arguably ever. The Pacers were at the peak of their powers, and this was a season where we saw the Spurs get their blissful and utterly dominant revenge on the Heat after their heartbreaking loss the year prior. Now, the regular season wasn't really anything special, in my opinion, aside from KD's MVP performance, but that finals, man, just seeing the Spurs get their revenge on the Heat, again, especially after 2013, and we all know what happened that year, that was amazing. That really was amazing. And it also introduced us to one of the NBA's brightest stars in Kawhi Leonard. Number 7, the 2012 season. The 2012 season really had potential to be higher on this list if it only wasn't a lockout season. If you guys were watching basketball at that time, it was nice seeing LeBron, Harden, and Kobe be in these rec leagues like the Pro-Ams and stuff like that. But that extra month or two without NBA basketball, with my bored 12-year-old ass, was brutal. That was really brutal. But this season we saw Bron get his 3rd MVP. We saw the Thunder with Harden really peak. And going back to Bron, we really just saw him take the league by its horns and simply dominate and just overcome his past hurdles, and capping it off with his first and ever so elusive first championship, and that was a sight to see. Number 6, the 2017 season. Now, 2017 is a season that, it feels like it should be like 2018. On its surface, it just seemed like another year that the Warriors dominated and, did their job, and there wasn't much parity. But looking back, it was a pretty exciting year. For one, it was KD's first year in Golden State, and the league got its new villain. While again, parity was a legit question, and games were predictable because of it, it was still a spectacle seeing everyone just go after the Warriors and try to beat them. We also saw one of the best MVP races in NBA history between Harden and Westbrook, with them putting up ridiculous numbers every night, especially Westbrook, who ended up averaging a triple-double for the first time since the 1960s with Oscar Robertson, and that was special. And also, just a side note, me being a Celtics fan, there was also Isaiah Thomas, and he was one of the league's best stories that year, especially what he had to go through in the playoffs. Rest in peace to his sister. But just seeing him go through that and succeed and drop 50 on the Wizards, I know it's the Wizards, it's not like the Cavs or the Warriors or anything, but that whole story was I'll never forget that season just because of Isaiah Thomas. Nonetheless, the other stuff I just mentioned. Number 5, the 2019 season. Next up, we have the latest NBA season we just saw in the 2019 NBA season. Maybe it's me just being in the moment, but I thought that this past season was excellent. For the first time since the 2011 season, the East was pretty strong. The West was as tough as ever, if not the toughest it's been in a while, and that's saying a lot since the West has been the dominant conference since the 1990s, arguably, if you really look at it. We had an excellent MVP race between James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and speaking of Giannis, this was really the first season where we saw Giannis really be the dominant superstar that we thought he could be. Kawhi gave the city of Toronto its first championship in his first and only year. Dame ended a whole era in OKC. From a competitive standpoint, this year was excellent, and I believe it deserves the number 5 spot on my list. Number 4, the 2013 season. Now the top 4 is really where it gets historical. The never forget, everyone knows about it type of greatness type season. We had LeBron at the peak of his powers, leading the Heat to 66 wins and becoming a nearly unanimous MVP, if it wasn't for that one person who voted for Melo. You know who you are. They had that crazy 20+ game winning streak. The Knicks were actually good, and Melo was having arguably his best season in his career. The Pacers were coming up as well. The West was as strong as ever. And the NBA Finals. I mean, all I have to say is 2013 NBA Finals, and your mind instantly goes into one moment. Your mind instantly has a flashback, and you know what you were doing the night of Game 6, 2013. I don't even have to say NBA Finals. All I have to say is Game 6, 2013, and you know exactly what that means. And that's how historical this season was. Number 3, the 2010 season. The 2010 season seems so long ago, and that's because it was. Out of all the years I could look at, this was, the oldest. And from a historical standpoint, this was really like 3 mini eras ago. This was right before the Heat and the Warriors era. I mean, this was a time when we really didn't know who the hell was going to win the championship. Yes, the Lakers were favored, and they did end up winning the championship, but they weren't viewed as this unbeatable force like the Heat were when they formed, or the Warriors were when they got KD, or even 2016 really going into the playoffs after we saw the Warriors literally win 73 games. The Celtics were viewed as too old, and the Cavs and the Magic were beatable one-man teams centered around LeBron and Dwight Howard. I mean, the championship was really for the taking. There were a lot of great moments in the playoffs, those Suns and Lakers series, the Celtics upsetting the Cavs in the second round, who were massively favored despite what many people try to say now and revise history, and then going up against the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals and Rondo. You already know that diving, little crossover on J. Will that he did. You guys know what I'm talking about. But aside from that, it really doesn't get much better than the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals, and the fact that it went to 7 games. Personally, this was my first season really watching the NBA, coming from the Philippines in 2009, and it was the season that really made me fall in love with the game. So I might have some bias towards the season, especially since this was the last time my team made the finals, but this season was special. Number 2, the 2011 season. Coming in at 2 we have the season right after 2010 and 2011. This was Bron's first year in Miami, and man, was it a spectacle. Everyone hated LeBron, and it was amazing seeing them really embrace that villain role, and just the narratives going around and the conversations and the booing. I feel bad for LeBron looking back because he was the one that had to go through that, but it was pretty fun to see. It really was. We also saw an MVP season that many people are so emotionally attached to, and Derrick Rose's MVP, him being the youngest MVP in league history. And then we had the Mavericks, who made upset after upset in the playoffs, beating the Lakers after they just won a championship back-to-back, beating the Thunder as young and powerful as they were. But then the NBA Finals came, and so did the biggest upset of arguably league history, when they shocked the world, beating the NBA's biggest villain, with LeBron having one of the biggest meltdowns in league history. I mean, this season was amazing. Like I said, this top four is the cream of the crop right here. Number 1, the 2016 season. This was a season that was so good that I actually made a dedicated video for it about a year back, and it did pretty well. But I know most NBA fans will never forget this year for multiple reasons. I mean, when you think of the NBA, there's really not much this season did not accomplish. We had the Warriors winning 73 games, a league record. We thought 72-10 was this untouchable record, but then the Warriors came and proved everyone wrong. Curry's MVP season, being the leader of those Warriors, was historical in itself. I mean, this guy was revolutionizing the game right in front of our eyes, making shots that were ridiculous, taking shots that would be considered bad shots for anyone. But fast forward just 4 years later, everyone takes. It was Kobe Bryant's last season, a farewell tour so memorable that on his last game, people really had to decide if they would watch the Warriors win 73 games or watch Kobe's last game. And I feel like most people did end up watching Kobe's last game instead. But imagine a season being so great where you even have to make that choice. The dunk contest was amazing. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon had us on the edge of our seat. The Western Conference Finals alone was memorable when the Warriors came back from 3-1 against the Thunder with their backs against the wall. And then the series after, in the NBA Finals, they themselves blew a 3-1 lead against the Cavs. LeBron bringing home a championship to the city of Cleveland, that elusive championship that many people wanted him to get. I mean, everything happened this season, and it was amazing to see. 3-4 years later, we're still talking about it like it happened yesterday. Again, just looking back at the season, it really does have an argument, and I would make the argument that this was the greatest season in NBA history. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just ranked the 10 seasons of this decade. Once again, shout out to the 2010s. It's definitely an unforgettable era. It really does seem like it was just yesterday when it started, and now it's over. Like, honestly, I thought we were gonna wait till after next season to say that it's the 2020s, but I guess not. Leave a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know this channel has had a little bit of a drought the past month or so. A lot has been going on. The season has been dry, but we're getting back into the swing of things, and I'm coming better than ever. My biggest fans know that I've relied on a script for the past 2 to 3 years when making these videos, but the past 4 videos have been pretty much unscripted, just a couple bullet points, and it's really revitalized my passion for making videos, and hopefully it's a start of a new era for us and for me as well with the channel. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out. Peace.